Have you ever wondered where the story of Black history in America began? It's a tale that takes us back to the 17th century, a time when the first African slaves set foot on American soil. The year was 1619, and the place was Jamestown, Virginia, a fledgling English colony in the New World. The African men, women, and children who arrived on the shores of Jamestown were about to embark on an unimaginable journey. They faced harsh conditions, with survival itself a daily struggle. They were stripped of their freedoms, their dignity, and their identities. But despite this, they persevered. They held on to hope, strength, and resilience in the face of adversity. This was the beginning of Black history in America. A story not just of suffering and hardship, but of resilience and survival against all odds. The journey was tough, yet the fight for survival had just begun. Fast forward to the late 18th century, do you know about the abolitionist movement? This was a pivotal period in American history, a time when a group of brave individuals stood up against the institution of slavery. Among these courageous souls, figures like Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman emerged as beacons of hope. Sojourner Truth, born into slavery, became a prominent abolitionist and women's rights activist. Known for her stirring "Ain't I a Woman" speech, she challenged the societal norms and prejudices of her time, advocating for equality and freedom. Another key figure was Harriet Tubman, also born into slavery. She escaped, and subsequently made some 13 missions to rescue approximately 70 enslaved people, using the network of anti-slavery activists and safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. She was a testament to the sheer will and determination of those who yearned for freedom. Speaking of the Underground Railroad, this wasn't a physical railway, it was a network of secret routes and safe houses established in the United States during the early to mid-19th century. It was used by African American slaves to escape into free states and Canada, with the aid of abolitionists and allies who were sympathetic to their cause. This quest for freedom was fraught with danger, but it was a risk many were willing to take. And then, the Civil War erupted in the mid-19th century, a bloody conflict that would determine the fate of millions of enslaved people. This war between the North and South was about many things, but at its core was the issue of slavery. And in the midst of this war, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, declaring that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforward shall be free. The path to freedom was a long one, but the will to fight remained unbroken. The abolitionist movement was a testament to the resilience and strength of those who refused to accept the chains of bondage, a critical chapter in the story of Black history in America. Ever wondered about the aftermath of the Civil War and the journey to the Civil Rights Movement? Let's dive into it. The Reconstruction era following the Civil War was a period of rebuilding, but it was also a time of significant political change. The 14th Amendment granted equal protection under the law, while the 15th Amendment guaranteed voting rights regardless of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. However, as these constitutional changes were being implemented, a dark cloud was forming. The rise of Jim Crow laws in southern states systematically undermined these hard-won rights. These laws enforced racial segregation, creating a social order that was separate and far from equal. This was a period of great hardship, yet it was also a time of resilience. This resilience was notably displayed during the Harlem Renaissance, a cultural explosion in the 1920s and 30s. Based in Harlem, New York, this movement saw African Americans expressing their identity and experiences through art, literature, and music. It was a time of Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston, of jazz and blues. The Harlem Renaissance wasn't just about creating art, it was about challenging stereotypes and demanding recognition. Fast forward to the mid-20th century, and the Civil Rights Movement was in full swing. Key figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X emerged, leading the fight against racial discrimination and segregation. From the Montgomery bus boycott to the March on Washington, these individuals and their collective actions brought about significant legislative change, most notably, the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964. This act outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, a monumental step in the pursuit of equality. The struggle for equality was far from over, but significant strides had been made. The Reconstruction era, the Harlem Renaissance, the Civil Rights Movement, these were all crucial chapters in a long, ongoing story of resilience, determination, and the unyielding pursuit of equality. How about the modern era? What are the key moments in recent Black history? Our timeline now brings us to a moment that was both symbolic and transformative: the election of Barack Obama. The year was 2008, a year that will forever be etched in the annals of Black history, for it was the year America elected its first Black president, Barack Obama. This momentous occasion was not just a victory for Obama, but a beacon of hope for millions of Black people across the nation and around the world. Yet, even as we celebrate this achievement, we must also acknowledge the continued struggle for equality. The fight against systemic racism remains as pertinent today as it ever was. This fight is encapsulated in the Black Lives Matter movement, born out of the tragic deaths of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and countless others. This movement has become a rallying cry for justice, equality, and an end to racial violence. The Black Lives Matter movement is not just a response to specific incidents of police brutality, it's a statement that Black lives matter as much as any other. It's a call to action, a call to dismantle systemic racism and build a society where everyone, regardless of their race or skin color, can live without fear, prejudice, or discrimination. It's important to remember that the struggle for racial equality is not a sprint, but a marathon. It's a journey fraught with challenges, setbacks, and heartbreak, but it's also a journey filled with resilience, courage, and a relentless pursuit of justice. The journey of Black history in America is one of resilience and courage, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a people. The struggle continues, but the hope remains. Remember, history teaches us not only about our past, but also shapes our future.